Bulelani, I hope you can hear me now. So talk to us about preparations. How are they going ahead of SONA tonight?
Well, welcome back again. We are outside the Cape Town City Hall where the State of the Nation address will be happening this evening. Please stay tuned to SABC News right throughout the day as we bring you the rolling coverage. Of course, we are anticipating a lot of things, and a lot of political parties have got different views about the speech. And we bring into this conversation now ANC Chief Whip, Ms. Pemmy Majodina. Ms. Majodina, thank you so much for your time. You might probably have the privilege of having that speech in your inbox. Probably give us a sense of what can we expect tonight.
Thank you very much to you, Bulelani, and the viewers at home. I expect the president to account fully to the nation, to say when he came in, he made some commitments. How far did he go in those commitments? We know that the ANC government has delivered when it comes to basic services to our people. We have stretched the access to water, clean water, as well as electricity. However, that did not go without challenges. The floods, because of climate change, has taken us back. The infrastructure, which is decaying in municipalities, the president will come up with a clear plan on how are we going to turn around matters, especially when it comes to local government. Secondly, the president will also give an account on the corruption cases, because the South Africans are not told the truth that a lot of people have been arrested, a lot of money has been recouped from those who frauded the state, especially through the state capture. But that information is not out there to our people. But also, we are coming from COVID-19, and the economy has not grown. We are quite aware that young people are unemployed, but the interventions through the presidential stimulus pack has since assisted our people. These things that we take for granted, it's not just for granted. The issue of NSFAS, the issue of the social relief of the distress, it only takes a caring government to intervene on such matters. Yes, we have done, but it's not enough. It can never be enough. We're talking 30 years of more than 300 years of oppression, and therefore, as you deliver, then the demands become too much.
I want to press you on this question. In your assessment, do you think that the president has delivered in his New Dawn objective?
Of course, he has delivered. How I wish there was no COVID, because now we're judging president based on 5 years, but in that 5 years, we don't filter in the period of COVID. Any other country couldn't have done better than us. You can look at the continent. We are still the best on how we've intervened to save our people with a little economy that is growing.
Now, some opposition parties have really been comparing in terms of what was happening in 2019 when the president took over and what's happening now. And the conclusion really that they are making is that our country is worse off now than when the president took over. As the ANC, how do you respond?
They might think it's worse off because they don't feature in COVID-19. You know, that thing was not an easy thing to deal with. The president had to navigate, and the opposition parties, when they do their assessment, because they are opposition parties, they will assess him based on 5 years. But how are you going to do that when you lock the country for 2 years, when the investors are not coming in? What else was the president supposed to do? There was no other miracle that he was supposed to do. Let's give credit where it is due. President has tried and done what a normal person could have done.
As the majority party in parliament, do you think that you've played a very robust oversight role? I'll give you an example. In relation to load shedding, we're given a deadline that load shedding will end in December. That hasn't happened. As parliamentarians, have you been able to actually play your oversight role to ensure that those who make the promises must come in account to the legislature?
You make promises or commitments to say we're gonna end load shedding, then you experience cable theft and many other fraudulent activities around Eskom, and therefore you see clear sabotage in terms of rolling out the Eskom in terms of ensuring that people get electricity as expected. It does not therefore means we have not hold our government accountable. But there are certain things that need extraordinary efforts to deal with. For the mere fact that the president has appointed a minister for electricity, it shows commitment that we want to deal with this load shedding. Hence, now the minister also has certain powers, and the president is going to restructure the public enterprise and make sure that energy goes to one ministry and be able to focus on. The reality is the load shedding we are all concerned about, but there is a plan to deal with load shedding. Yes, we wanted to end it by 23 December, but it was unfortunate that as you do this, the infrastructure on electricity collapse on the other side because of criminal activities that are happening there. But we're happy that there is a clear plan also from the security cluster how to safeguard the powers where engine is generated.
I'm out of time. Yes or no? Are you worried about the conduct of the EFF today?
Not worried at all. The court has spoken. Not worried at all. There are rules here, and the decorum of the House will be adhered to.
All right, thank you so much. ANC Chief Whip, Ms. Pemmy Majodina, unfazed about any threats of disruptions tonight during the SONA speech by the president. For more reaction, we cross over to Sakina.
All right, welcome back. And of course, the excitement building here. It is, of course, SONA 2024. And President Cyril Ramaphosa will address the nation at 7 p.m. this evening. Chester's still with me. Chester, what do you want to say? What's wrong?
You know, I don't understand why we're having a State of the Nation at all, Sakina. I'm very upset about this. 13.8 million South Africans are below the poverty line. I mean, I don't even understand. UTV should just buy it and then play it on repeat. That's how much of a waste of time. I don't understand. If you had 10 million rand in cash, would you put it in your couch, Sakina?
No, I'd
No, because people ask you, how's the investment? You'd say, so far, so good. Oh!
You know what? We also joined Chester here by ANC National Spokesperson. Are you going to get into trouble for laughing at this? We are joined by the National Spokesperson, Mahlengi Mutsiri. You know, listen to Chester. He says, you know, so far, would you put your 10 million rand in a sofa?
You know, Chester, really, you know, you have to be grateful to the ANC for the fact that we have such a vibrant democracy.
Because you produce all the jokes.
I hear you, Chester, but I do think that Chester Missing would not be alive or, you know, under apartheid.
That's true.
30 years on, the fact that you actually give us some respite from everything, those of us who are in the political environment. I want us to respond to the question about the 10 million under a sofa because, you know, it's a matter that is currently under investigation. And this is an ambush as Chester. But I do want to say, though, we are a thriving democracy precisely because, you know, these spaces have allowed for the likes of Danny and the likes of Chester, who actually, through comedy...
And Thabo Bester.
And Thabo Bester, absolutely, absolutely. And
it's
I'm
not
glad,
a compliment.
No, but I'm glad that stuff is being done about matters related to people such as Thabo Bester. I don't know why you would mention Thabo Bester in the same sentence as yourself.
That's true, because he should be in jail, but I live in a suitcase. But you're the ANC spokesperson, so you know what that's like.
As Chester drops my mic,
what you gonna do?
And the mic, Sakina's mic just fell.
I know, she was that excited about it.
I wasn't excited about it.
She had mic shedding, Mahlengi. She had mic shedding.
Mic shedding for sure.
Minister of microphones.
But I tell you what, you know, Mahlengi, Chester was saying earlier that he thinks the ANC is going to fare badly at the polls this year. So what is your research telling you there about the ANC?
Our research is telling us that we are on the ground. We're finding a lot of resonance on the ground with our people. And I think one of the things also that the current pollsters are not being interrogated by the media, including our own public broadcaster. Have a look at who's funding these polls, the spirited polls that are telling us that we're going to be faring below 50%. You know where our research is at? Our research is the groundwork we're doing with our people.
Okay, can't remember that we've looked at that as yet, so haven't spoken to anyone about polls as yet. But you're saying your polls are very different from what we are seeing elsewhere.
Certainly, we do have our own policy and research capacity that has been seriously ramped up in the past year.
So why should we believe yours as opposed to the others?
We've not even spoken to our poll, our survey and the results, because our main research lies on the ground. The strength of the ANC has always been the ability to mobilize on the ground. So we see what is being said, we go onto the socials, we see what is on X, we engage in the negative, narrative contestation of ideas, and we do it modestly and with measure, because it's important to always be measured if you call yourself leader of society.
Huh? Leader of society, what would you like to hear from the leader of society tonight, Chester?
Well, I would like the leader of society to explain why so much has failed. I mean, let's be honest. Mahlengi, do you have a job lined up for after the elections? Because quite frankly, I think most of you are going to be unemployed.
Well, the good thing about most of us, or some of us in the ANC, is that we are volunteers of the ANC. So it has less to do with, a job in a typical sense or conventional sense of the word.
That is important. People went on strike because they weren't paid by the ANC.
Especially the people who work at the ANC. Not even the people who work for the ANC are getting service delivery. I mean, that's a lot of no service delivery. I mean, come on, Comrade Mahlengi, let's be honest.
Oh,
let's be
okay.
honest.
I'm glad
most cabinet ministers are a lot like a reverse Thabo Bester. They're faking being alive.
The point I'm making, though, is that the ANC is going to be in government after this election. Chester, let's have the conversation after that, and I will be happy to swallow my words if I need to. But the ANC is going to be in government after this election.
They're definitely going to be in government. Are they going to be the ruling party?
That's the first point.
Are you going to have to call Julius Malema boss? That's the question we all have.
We don't even entertain that thought.
But you are, you know you are. You're going to be Uncle Julius, boss, Minister Julius. That's why you won't let him into State of the Nation, Mahlengi. You know why you won't let, because he's going to steal the show, and it's ANC policy that all stealing has to be done in-house.
Oh, Chester, you are just so extra. But I've got
a hand in my bum. I have a hand in my bum. Ask Zikle Zikalala, he'll tell you what it's like.
But on the real, though,
The hand's name is Zandile Gumede. I'm out!
But Chester, I mean, you've got too many issues. You really need to take this thing out of your chest this morning, because I don't even get a chance to respond to each of the things. Zandile Gumede remains on step aside, and there is. I'm actually going to email you or even WhatsApp you the step aside policy.
WhatsApp.
No, yeah,
WhatsApp.
I'll WhatsApp.
WhatsApp
You. It's quicker that way.
And I can blue tick you. Oh!
And you can block me also when you don't like the things.
I will never block you, Mahlengi. You are my favorite spokesperson, and I've chatted. I met Jackson and Tembu, so you're doing great.
Oh my goodness! Oh right, okay. My
Not
day.
even Zizi Kodwa had it on you.
My day's made.
All right. While the two of you WhatsApp each other, blue tick each other, Chester, you can blue tick Mahlengi. Let me hand over to Bulelani. Phillip is on the other side of the parade.
All right, thank you so much, Sakina. I'm thinking that you're having a good time on the other side. Of course, here for political reactions, we are not going to be WhatsApping them or emailing them. We're speaking directly to the political opposition parties. And joining me now is the leader of the Freedom Front Plus, Dr. Peter Groenewald. Of course, coming into this State of the Nation address, you've said that you don't anticipate to get any new ideas from the president. Instead, it's going to be the same old failed promises.
Yes, it's quite correct. I mean, he's going to deliver his 8th State of the Nation address this afternoon. And he made so many promises. He's actually known as the President of Promises. But it does not really materialize. So what I'm actually expecting is that we're going to have an election campaign, State of the Nation address. The President will spend his time to try to convince South Africans to tell how good governments was under the ANC for the last 30 years. But we know the reality is something quite different. I would have expected from him to address the real crises in South Africa, namely the unemployment in South Africa. And yes, we don't want to hear about another summit and another conference with potential investors. We don't want to hear about potential investment in South Africa. We want to see the reality where people start to invest. But we know that the circumstances are of such nature that people will not easily invest in South Africa. And that is crucial for the future to ensure that we create jobs in South Africa. Let's take Eskom, for instance. I mean, many promises were made to say that the crisis would end last year. Now, this is 2024, and for up to now, there were only 3 days that we did not have load shedding in South Africa. So they don't fulfill the promises.
The ANC arguing a short while ago that amongst other issues, load shedding has been hampered or extended or prolonged because of issues like cable theft. Do you buy into that argument?
No, I don't buy into that. It's not the first time that they became aware of cable theft in South Africa. What did they do about it? That's a question. And that brings us actually to the crime situation in South Africa. Crime in South Africa is actually a crisis in this sense. That you have about 76 murders per day in South Africa. The criminal justice system in South Africa imploded. And that is why, or one of the many reasons, we have this crime in South Africa. Because the people just get away. There's impunity in South Africa. And therefore, they can't come and argue because of cable theft. They should have prevented it before. And if they say that is the reason, then they actually prove their inability to solve a problem and theft in South Africa.
Again, the ANC arguing that the president has made progress, but probably his New Dawn dream has been deferred because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Again, do you buy into that argument?
No, not at all. You must firstly remember, yes, I know, he uses the COVID pandemic as the huge excuse. The Freedom Front Plus, not only once, but many times, have said to the president in that time that the regulations you are using in this pandemic is not necessary. In fact, it's irrational. They wanted to tell us what type of T-shirt you had to wear, what type of shoes you had. We said you are ruining the livelihoods of the people of South Africa. We said, I personally said to the president, you are creating a new group of poor people, the middle income group. You are creating a situation where they are becoming the poor group in South Africa. And that's exactly what happened. If the president listened, then the pandemic effect would have not been as much as it is. So I put that right in front of him, that he must take the responsibility for that. And it could have been different. It's no use trying to hide behind the COVID.
Lastly and briefly, is the FF Plus coming back after the general elections?
Yes, for sure, we're coming back, and we're coming back stronger.
All right, thank you so much. Dr. Peter Groenewald, the leader of the FF Plus, giving his party's views on the State of the Nation address. For more reaction now, we're crossing over to Siviwe Kwagube, the DA Chief Whip. Thank you so much for making time for us. As the DA, your expectations for tonight's SONA.
Good morning, and good morning to you and your viewers. Our expectations are incredibly low this evening because we are of the view that there's very little the president can say to really ignite any kind of hope to people who have been left hopeless for the past 5 years. On every indicator that we can think of, South Africa is in a far worse position today than it was in 2019. Whether you're looking at unemployment, whether you're looking at crime, corruption, whether you're looking at service delivery, all of these things have regressed under the president and under his political party over the past 5 years. So in our view, very few things can be any comfort to the 30 million people who are living in poverty today. The 5 5,000 people who are dying of malnutrition as you and I speak, the people who are targeted by crime. I don't think that there's anything that the president can really say to move the needle much today. I do hope, though, because he is obviously the head of state, and there are some low-hanging fruit the president can essentially target today. But the electricity crisis being a very, very important one, because without a resolution to the electricity crisis and bringing in independent power producers so that we can see the provision of electricity improve, we're not going to see the economy of South Africa grow. The literature we're seeing says that South Africa's economy will not grow above 1% if we do not resolve the electricity crisis. And that has a fundamental effect on households, on businesses, and people getting work in South Africa.
How much blame can we apportion to lawmakers in relation to holding the president and his cabinet accountable for actually making this situation that you're referring to, that our situation now is far worse than when it started this term?
And that's a very good question, because obviously he's coming to Parliament as a guest of Parliament to come and present his plans. And Bulelani, I would have liked to see a lot more robust oversight over the executive over the past 5 years. We have not seen that. Unfortunately, the very same patterns we have seen in previous parliaments, where we saw the ANC closing ranks, we saw them using their numbers in Parliament to essentially push through problematic legislation, to shield people from accountability. All of the things we saw in the 5th Parliament, in the 4th Parliament, have opportunity, where we had the Zondo Commission report, which was tabled to us on a silver platter with recommendations that we could have immediately implemented. But Parliament dilly-dallied. Some of our proposals were shot down in the Rules Committee, and there were some really concrete proposals by the Deputy Chief Justice then in that report. And I think that we had a missed opportunity. We would have been a far stronger Parliament had we implemented some of those of those recommendations. And I think we would have been far more relevant to South Africans and ordinary people had we shown that we want to resolve the issues that are troubling them in this Parliament.
Now, your neighbors in the red overalls have been obviously giving threats around, holding the president accountable over Phala. Leave aside the strategy that they use, but as the DA, do you think the president must still account on the issue of Phala?
Absolutely. I think it would be a mess of us as an institution and as members of Parliament and public representatives if we did not ask the relevant questions. To this day, we still are not clear about what happened on that farm and what the president did. And one of the most grave injustices is that we had an opportunity once again as Parliament to say, well, look, let us probe into this matter further. Is the president guilty of breaking the law and contravening provisions of the Constitution? If he is, then he should have allowed himself to go through the impeachment process. It wasn't the vote that we took last year, where the ANC members essentially blocked that process, wasn't to impeach the president. The vote was to determine whether we should go ahead and test the allegations as this institution. And if he's found guilty, then we proceed with impeachment proceedings. And once again, a missed opportunity, because the ANC voted it down and they've got the numbers. But Bulelani, I think for the people at home, it's not all is lost. They have an opportunity. The election is coming up very soon. And I think that if we see the numbers change, we can do better in Parliament.
All right, thank you so much, Siviwe Kochube, the Chief Whip of the Democratic Alliance, the official opposition, of course, giving us a rundown of the party's expectations of the State of the Nation address. For more reaction, we cross over to Sakida.
And thank you so much, Bulelani. And still here on the parade in front of the City Hall in Cape Town. It is, of course, a parliamentary precinct, so all the rules of Parliament apply here. And speaking now, I'm joined by the chairperson of the National Council of Provinces, Mr. Amos Masondo. Thanks so much for coming through to speak to us here on Morning Live. So as we come to the end of the work of the 6th administration, how would you sum up your National Council of Provinces tenure during the 6th administration?
No, thank you very much. And of course, greetings to all the viewers. It has the 6th administration, and particularly that of the National Council of Provinces, have gone on fairly well. We think that we've been able to fulfill some of the basic responsibility and the broader mandate. We've been able to address issues related to oversight and accountability. We've been able to talk to and address issues related to lawmaking in general. And we've been able to ensure that people across provinces found expression, that their voices find expression in the work that we've been doing. We've also been able to interact and engage as parliaments and with parliaments across Africa and indeed across the world. So the work that has been done has been ongoing. In my view, there's been quality interventions, and I think that we're well on our way to getting the NCOP to really to be a force to be reckoned with and to be what it was intended to be.
Speaking of, when we look at some of the work, one of the bills is, of course, the NHI bill, and you speak of people's voices being heard, finding expression in the work of the NCOP. Many South Africans feel that that is a bit contentious. Are you satisfied with the sort of hearing that the broader public has been given in this regard?
Look, I mean, the work, specifically the work related to the establishment of NHI, has been going on in government for years. Since 1994, when I became the first MEC of Health in Gauteng, we're grappling with this issue. It has taken many years to locate us where we are at the moment. Nobody can dispute the fact that if we are to make meaningful intervention in improving the quality of life of people, the area of health is one of those matters and issues that require special attention. We need more doctors, we need medication, we need nurses. Overall, we need to deliver quality health care. And when this bill came to the NCOP, there was indeed intense participation and engagement. And my sense is that this was a very important step, and that a very firm foundation has been laid for us to move to a next level.
The Electoral Amendment Act as well, again, a rather contentious one where if you listen to people, they perhaps feel that, when matters are brought to the NCOP for concurrence, perhaps they expect a little bit more vigor in terms of the public participation process from the NCOP than perhaps they would from the National Assembly. Whether that is fair or not, do you believe that, you could do better? Do you believe that there could be better mechanisms in place in order to give that expression to the people, as you point out?
Yes. The NCOP, National Council of Provinces, is not a mere rubber stamp. When matters are referred to us in terms of the law and processes, we do indeed look at them. Of course, we listen to many other voices, the people, the institutions, civil society, indeed to our own colleagues who are in the National Assembly. But listening is just that, it's listening. If we think there are issues to be pursued or matters to be opposed, we'll do that.
And how many have you opposed in the 6th administration?
Well, I mean, we've spoken about NHI. I'm sure you saw the drama as picked up by the media. That was fairly accurate. The Electoral Act is one where, for instance, many people were surprised that the NCOP not only opposed certain things, but made certain amendments, which were finally endorsed by the National Assembly. But there are also, besides these bills, there are also day-to-day issues that affect people that we debate and discuss. Just to give you a few examples, we have been warning as the NCOP and have made certain specific calls in relation to the killing of councillors, especially in KwaZulu-Natal. And we have raised this issue not so much because of violence and its or merely for its own sake. We have raised it because we think that our democracy is being threatened. And that we have a responsibility to ensure that all forms of violence are removed from the situation to allow for more engagement, intensity of discussions, and for tolerance overall. Because we must tolerate views, even those views to which we are strongly opposed. They must find expression. And having heard everybody and having discussed matters and so on, of course we must move forward. This is what we've tried to do.
Well, that's the chairperson of the National Council of Provinces, Mr. Amos Masondo, speaking to us and saying that they are not merely here to rubber stamp some of the work that comes from the National Assembly, but that they do give expression to the people, broadly speaking, and of course vigorously engage some of these bills. So you, of course, are free to tell us what your views are, but it's back to studio for now.
All right. Thank you so much, Sakina and Bulelani.